Shabbat Shalom. I'm Janine Kaladny, and I have the great honor of serving as your temple president. I'm sure you all agree that during these very challenging times, WISE has been at the forefront of keeping us connected, not just to our Jewish values, but to each other and to this beloved community. Tonight, more than ever, I would like to invite each of you to join my husband Rick and I as we donate and support our beloved community. It is your gift that will make a huge impact and go towards ensuring that we can continue to deliver the outstanding online services such as tonight, as well as our online learning opportunities, and we can continue our community outreach to those that are so desperately in need. Please go to wisela.org and make a gift that is meaningful to you. It will ensure that we continue our work and that we remain strong and vibrant. Thank you all so much for your support, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you so much for joining us. We call ourselves as Jews many things, but one of them is Asirei Tikva, which literally means prisoners of hope. And it reminds us that no matter what we're going through as individuals, as a community, and as a world, we hold on to Tikva, to hope, because we believe that we can be renewed. We believe that we can change the world. We believe that we can make whatever situation we find ourselves in just a little bit better. And one of the ways I'm inspired to do that, one of the ways I feel that, is when I gather together with my community. Whether I do it online or whether I can do it in person, as God willing, we hope we'll be able to do as soon as it's safe. I know that I am not alone. And I know that I'm surrounded by people who care for me and whom I care for. That's what it is to hold on to hope. Thank you for joining us and for helping each and every one of us to be inspired and to be more hopeful. Shabbat Shalom.
L'chun Aranana, Psalm 95, a joyful song for the Sabbath day. L'chun Aranana, l'chun Aranana, l'chun Aranana l'Adonai. L'chun Aranana, l'chun Aranana, l'chun Aranana l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, nekadma fana betoda. Naria, naria, letzur yishenu, bizmirot naria lo. L'chun Aranana, l'chun Aranana, l'chun Aranana l'Adonai. L'chun Aranana, l'chun Aranana, l'chun Aranana l'Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel
We rise for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, our call to praise, a time for self-reflection, a time for asking ourselves what we did right this week and what we can work on for this coming week. Baruch Hu, please join me. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai.
Barechu et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Le'olam va'ed Hamevorach Hamevorach Le'olam va'ed.
Ahavat Olam. That's what we're going to chant together. I'd like to read to you the meaning of the prayer. Everlasting love, you have offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. This prayer is worthy of great study. It is saying God's love and the Torah and the mitzvot are fully intertwined. We are to think about God's laws and commandments when we lie down, when we rise up. In other words, all the time. The Torah and mitzvot should be the center of our lives. And we should rejoice in them. We should celebrate our Judaism. They are our life and the length of our days. In other words, without God, without Torah, without mitzvot, there is no Jewish life. Yet with God, with Torah, with mitzvot, we will have life. Not only physical life, we will have Jewish life. And our days take on greater meaning. The prayer concludes, never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. The beauty is that the prayer suggests if we Jews live committed Jewish lives, God's love will always be right alongside us. Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Havta Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Havta Torah o mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Otanu limadeta Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha havta Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha havta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shochbeinu uvkumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Torah V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha Ahavat olam
Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu u'ahem nege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha ahavat olam Beit Yisrael amcha ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu leolamim Baruch ata Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Ma'utov Le'olam Ayed.
Mi chamocha. Kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele. Malechutecha ra'u vanecha, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים זה ילי ענו ויאמרו אדוני מלוך אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כיבד אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל
We mark time through Shabbat. Each day of the week counted by its relationship to Shabbat on Sunday. Hayom Yom Echad LeShabbat. Today is the first day of Shabbat. The second day, the third day, and so on. Shabbat is our anchor. It always has been, and perhaps all the more so now. Rabbi Kalman Kalonymus suggests that we do it. We count that way so that through those words we draw the holiness of Shabbat into each day we count. Our job then is to infuse our Shabbat with enough holiness, with enough beauty, with enough rest, with enough joy to carry us through each of those days to the next Shabbat. We celebrate the gift, the anchor, the joy of Shabbat, V'shamru.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהיה נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We continue with our prayer for healing, prayer for wholeness for all of those who are in need, healing of mind, healing of body, healing of spirit.
A poem before the Amidah. Shelter Me with Peace by Lisa Stark. I imagine your presence as the gracious, majestic, rich green canopy of a tree, stretching upward, outward, with me nestled quietly against the sturdy trunk, resting on sweet, smelling leaves and soft moss, Keep me dry from the rains of sadness. Save me from the cold winds of doubt. Protect me from the darkness of the unknown, so that I may rise and venture forth and touch your world. Your sacred breath whisks away all but the purest presence in me. Angel wings brush my face. Watch over me, as a parent peers on a sleeping child. Be the presence I feel, soft, sheltering, strong, cradling me to safety. Your canopy over me, under me, surrounding me, sheltering me with peace. We pause for a few moments of personal prayer. You may recite the Amidah standing. You may remain in your seats as the words appear on your screen.
Yehi leratzon imrei fi. Yehi leratzon imrei fi. V'hadyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri v'go ali. Oh, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Oh, say shalom bimromav. We say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imeru, ve'imeru.
Hi, I'm Lily Bossy, and I'm honored to have been the two-time mayor of the city of Beverly Hills, and currently I'm on the city council. I am honored to be part of Stephen S. Weiss Temple. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us to all appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
A prayer for the state of Israel.
בשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Avinu Shebashamayim, deliver them and crown their efforts with triumph. Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo. Bless our land with peace, O God, and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen, Amen. Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, barech et medinat Yisrael, reishit tzmichat geulateinu. Venomar Amen, Venomar Amen.
Are we there yet? Throughout the past half century, these words have become so entrenched in American pop culture that it remains difficult to pinpoint their precise origin. Nevertheless, the implication is nearly universal. No matter where you're driving, sitting in the back makes the journey seem longer. For me, the setting was the back of my grandparents' '79 Caprice Classic. For them, owning an automobile was a luxury, something they couldn't enjoy as children. And so they often took a Sunday afternoon drive. Now, ordinarily, I could daydream through the first 10 or 15 minutes. But after that, I was done. You see, my grandparents' Sunday drives were specially designed to torture a young child. My grandfather never took a straight route anywhere. And he didn't permit snacks in the car, so I never knew when I'd be eating next. And of course, I had no say in where we were going, nor did I have any idea when we would arrive. And so, I complained, I pestered, and I whined. And each time, my grandmother simply said, "You'll be glad you came along." And when we ultimately arrived at some out-of-the-way candy store or ice cream shop, she was always proven right. I like to think those car rides are one of the reasons I always identified with the Israelites in the Torah. Even as a kid in Hebrew day school, I questioned the bad reputation they received. After all, no one in the school, including the teachers, had ever spent more than a day without water, let alone 40 years wondering where their next drink was coming from. In fact, I would guess it was probably not too fun to be an Israelite under the leadership of Moses, great as he was. They never took a straight route anywhere. They never knew when or where they'd be eating next. They had no say in where they were going, nor did they have any idea when they would arrive. So they complained, they pestered, and they whined, sometimes with disastrous results. And now, finally, in this week's Parsha, Devarim, they sit alongside the banks of the Jordan River. They can see their destination. They're finally there. And what does Moses do? He pulls over the car to give them a book-length lecture about how to behave once they arrive. Are we there yet? Children implicitly understand what our ancestors learned the hard way, that living without certainty engenders impatience, resentment, sometimes even rebellion. And yet, neither our Torah nor our tradition shows any empathy for our ancestors, who, hungry for certainty and desperate for a conclusion to their journeys, acted out time and again en route from Egypt to the Promised Land. Because, unlike children, our ancestors, as escaped slaves, were expected to understand that uncertainty is better than some uncertainties, a lesson we would be wise to heed as we enter our 4th month of staying safer at home. The journey we've taken through this pandemic has lasted much longer than any of us could have anticipated. And it's hard to say what exactly it will look like once we get there. For most of us, the route seems circuitous. We have no say in where we're going, nor any idea when we'll arrive. The business closures, the school closures, the face masks, and the social distancing have caused true loneliness, but also family and economic hardships as well. And like a young boy getting carsick in the back of a Caprice Classic, I sometimes feel like tearing the mask off my face and screaming, "Are we there yet?" But I can't. Not because I don't want to. Goodness knows I do. No, it's because uncertainty is better than some uncertainties. All you have to do is talk to someone who lost someone to know that the pain and suffering caused by the uncertainty of staying safer at home pales in comparison with the pain and suffering that will certainly ensue if we cannot get transmission of this disease under control. Are we there yet? Not hardly. But I have a feeling that if we stick with it, ultimately, we'll be glad we came along. Shabbat Shalom.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim.
We continue with our concluding prayers. Aleinu l'shabeach. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gedula le'otzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot
את האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
As I speak these words, nearly 142,000 Americans have lost their lives in a struggle to survive the coronavirus. They are brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, spouses, friends, doctors, teachers, nurses, warehouse workers, the very fabric of our country's human infrastructure. In the past, when large numbers of our fellow citizens lost their lives in acts of violence, we shared their names with you before reciting the Kaddish. Were we to read the names of the COVID victims, it would take us days. The magnitude of this 4-month catastrophe overwhelms us. And yet so many of these deaths were preventable. It could have been different. However, we can still save thousands more. Traditionally, the Kaddish is recited in community. A minimum of 10 people must be gathered. The custom reminds us that we bear responsibility for one another, not merely because they need us to fulfill their ritual obligation, but also because our support, our presence, our embrace, our response to their words helps them endure their mourning. These communal obligations are an apt paradigm for the needs of our country today. In the face of this pandemic, it is our responsibility to wear our masks, to refrain from large gatherings, and ultimately to do everything that we can to stop the raging spread of the virus, not merely because we want to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe, but also because it is our obligation to protect even those we don't know. Our words blend with those of Jews throughout the world and ultimately remind us that we are deeply connected in our sorrow, in our joy, in our hope. The Kaddish. Yitkadal vitkadash shemei rabbah. Bi'alma divarach ute, bi'amlich malchute, b'chayechon u'vyomechon, uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal shemei d'kudusha barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata dat miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the memories of our loved ones be a lasting blessing. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm grateful to our clergy team and our staff, all of our special guests, everybody who makes these services possible. We conclude tonight with Oseh Shalom. It's a reminder that that sense of shalom, that sense of wholeness, that sense of peace that we crave, well, we can find that in our tradition, we can find that in our liturgy, and we can find that in one another. Thank you all.
Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu
Shabbat Shalom.